Welcome to it, sports fans. A different ball game on a Thursday in the Republic of South Africa. I think it's the last Thursday of the month. I don't really know how to count. One more week, it'll be the 30th. Calendars don't matter anymore. COVID calendar, huh? Insane out here. Hope everybody is well. Welcome to it, a different ball game with me, MKT, and I am joined by the lovely Woude Muller. Woude, how are you doing?
How's it? Yeah, all good. All the same. Nothing has changed. I'm still just building puzzles. I'm still just staying in my house. Yeah. I think I've literally moved my apartment around 100 times in the last 2 months because I literally just don't have anything else to do.
Building puzzles.
Yes.
You're really embracing the grandmother life.
Absolutely.
So good. Building puzzles. Is that something people do? I don't know. Maybe maybe I'm a bit strange, but
no,
you're
puzzles. Strange. No, my friend even sent me, she bought me a gift the other day and I got this massive Take-A-Lot box and I'm like, I didn't order anything from Take-A-Lot. Opened it and she bought me puzzles and a little flower thing that I was building and yeah. I'm old.
You know what? Yeah, well, that's true. That for one, that's true. But you know what the worst gifts are? The best gift is money. My thing about gifts is this. I already know what I want. Plus, the older I get, I make enough money to buy the things I want. Why do people want to buy me a gift that I may or may not like? Just ask me what I want, or just give me the money. I already know what I want. Well, what's the deal there with people?
No, well, she knows me really well. We literally have known each other since the day we were born. So she's more like a sister. So she kind of knows what I like. And if she didn't by now, then and Senzo, I do read books, but at some point you actually get tired of reading books. I've read so many books. I've watched so many movies. I'm building puzzles. So you kind of have to alternate during the day and what you do.
You sound like a gran. You sound like a granny. I've just done too much. It's time for the young kids to enjoy.
You're kidding, Mbolelo. I'm finding more and more gray hairs now. And I don't know if it's because of my age or if it's because of the show that we're doing together. And it's actually you that's causing my gray hairs. So I'm not going to just write it down to my age.
Ah, fair. There you have it. Woude, not a granny. According to her, the hair is changing now. Good stuff, Woude. Let's have a great show. Woude's back, of course, to talk rugby. Big weekend coming up. Super Rugby is now in full flow, right? We're looking at Australia, New Zealand, all of that's going on. But today I'm going to tell you where I was right, where I was wrong. Listen, emotional day for me. Of course, Chelsea getting absolutely hammered by Liverpool. So leaving me on an emotional tightrope for the last day of the season. Got to win, beat Wolves in the top 4. Don't beat Wolves. United, of course, go and cheat and draw with Leicester. And Chelsea are facing the horrible Europa League situation. But we don't want that. Not going to happen. Don't want to think about it. We're going to get into the show right now. So I'm going to tell you where I was right, where I was wrong. All right, we're going to start off with that, and then Woude is going to take us into the rugby action from the weekend. Right, so where I was right. Last night, Kepa Arrizabalaga, 2 goals, all his fault. I've said this before. I don't want to keep it below 190. Right? Any keeper below 190, too short. Might as well be Peter Dinklage. Don't know who that is. He's the short guy, midget from Game of Thrones and other shows. Kepa Arrizabalaga, too short. Tip that first one over. And then the free kick. What are you doing so far over, dude? Stand in the middle of the goals. 2 steps. You should be able to dive across and save it whether it goes to your left or right. Too short, too rubbish. If you're going to be that short, have great feet. Right? Vitor Valdez, all the great ones. Edison, of course, at Man City. Their advantages, yes, a little shorter, but you basically get a libero at the back. Kepa Arrizabalaga, no good. No good. So he's got to go. I was right on Kepa. He's awful. And too short. Can't be commanding of crosses. It's England, mate. This isn't Spain. Not everything's ball on the floor, tick-a-tacker. Terrible, terrible purchase by Chelsea Football Club. He's got to go. £72.5 million of Roman Abramovich's money. Might as well have spilt it down the drain. That's where I was wrong. That's where I was right. Where I was wrong, the West Indies. I thought, okay, hold on, the boys, got it back together, looking professional. They'll grind it out in the second test. It's the last day. They'll see it out. They're looking like a different team. Same old West Indies. The ugly side of being unprofessional for so long reared its ugly, ugly head. West Indies were awful. Showed no grit, no desire, no character, no real team structure, and absolutely imploded when they should have walked to a draw. Should have been a captain's handshake with something like an hour to go. Holden and the boys, very, very disappointing. And I was wrong. Shouldn't have hinged my hopes on the Windies to be back. They are not back. Right? They are not back. So I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, where I was right. Listen, the Gunners are a joke. They're an absolute joke. They went and beat Liverpool. They went and beat City. And then what happened? Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic performance. Aston Villa. Oof, that's ugly. That is ugly, isn't it? So the Gunners, I was dead right. You're mid-table. The table doesn't lie. You are mid-table. That's what you are. You're going to finish for the first time in 25 years outside the top 6. Awful team. Mikel Arteta, that's what you are. That is your median. When you struggled, don't want to hear about fatigue. Don't want to hear about fatigue. I don't want to hear that. Don't give me that. When you're struggling, you got to show character. I was dead right. Arsenal, awful. Where I was wrong, Liverpool. Listen, I thought they'd have their dip in their second season. Dead wrong. They've been unbelievable. They are quite rightly champions. Best football. And it's not like they're defending. They are going for it. They're basically playing 2 at the back. Their wingers, their wing backs are some of the highest assist makers in the league. Trent Alexander-Arnold, good chance next. He keeps going like this. He might have the most assists in Premier League history from right back. Quite brilliant, quite scintillating. Not the best team in history, but they've been scintillating and quite rightly champions. And I was dead wrong on that because I thought they might be outside the top 4. I thought the heavyweight football or the heavy metal football might be too much. Jurgen Klopp, congratulations. You and the boys have done it. Quite unbelievable performance. Where I was right, rugby's an amateur sport. You look at how the split from New Zealand and South Africa has happened. It's just unbelievable. The fallout. You've now got New Zealand players coming out saying how unhappy they are with it. So now there's a fracture within the All Black setup because the All Blacks still want to play South Africa. That's a great battle that goes back. They want to test themselves. They know with it. Listen, not the best technically, but you're the best athletes in the world, where they come from. There's a reason the North is flooded with South African athletes. We're the biggest, meanest suckers on the planet. South African athletes are legit. So, and rugby is just struggling to innovate, struggling to do something new. This sounds like they've literally, a baby whose dummy's been removed from their mouths. That's what's happened to World Rugby at the moment. And what, it's falling apart? Do me a favor, sort it out. You got 12 teams. It's 12 teams. You're talking like it's 100 teams. It's 12 teams. Sort it out. Split it up. Make an international tournament. Make more internationals. Do what you got to do. It's like 6 months later. They still can't sort it out. Where I was right. Rugby is an absolute joke. An absolute joke of a setup. Absolute joke. It's pathetic. World Rugby, you should be embarrassed. Absolutely embarrassed. Listen, where I was wrong. Cam Newton to the New England Patriots. It's going to work out. Look, I thought Stidham, they've been training the guy, sit a year behind Brady. You know the system, Belichick. You'll sort it out. You keep rolling. You've got Gilmore at corner. We know how they do it, right? New England, we pay our center. We pay our corners. Everybody else, you're an accessory. We had Tom Brady for this long. He's taking mid-range money. Cam Newton, new guy. Saw Bill Belichick making a new Subway advert. Hilarious if you haven't seen it. Seen some of the clips. Absolutely hilarious. Cam Newton, New England Patriots. Never saw it in my life. Honestly, it is like the Queen of England being married to Dennis Rodman. You just would never, ever be able to call it. Let's see how it works. But I was wrong. I thought Cam would never get a job. The NFL is unapologetically corporate. Cam with the Superman thing, I always say it. Production versus tolerance. His numbers say I'm a 500 quarterback. And he's a whole lot of work off the field. I don't like that. But hey, New England. No one's bigger than the team. Cam Newton, you come here for $1 million. Unbelievable. $1 million, the minimum vet. They've got Cam Newton, one of the greatest athletes you've ever seen at quarterback. I was wrong. New England Patriots took a chance. Bill Belichick, best of luck. Where I was right, Test cricket is still the best. Test cricket is still the best. These have been 2 mediocre teams, right? Let's be very clear. England and the West Indies are 2 very mediocre cricket teams. And we've had thrilling cricket. whether it's been because the West Indies are rubbish, because England's rubbish, but it's been 2 tests, even with weather, gone to the 5th day, and it's been thrilling, right down to the wire, and awesome watch. You can't replicate that. I don't care how much T20 you want. You can't replicate a close test match, right? 2 wickets, 10 overs to go. There's nothing you can do on planet Earth on a cricket field to replicate that. So it's been fantastic for test cricket. And I think it works without fans, by the way. I think it works without fans. I love it. I absolutely love it. So I was right. Test cricket is king still. ODI, T20 cannot compete. It's been thrilling, and it's 2 terrible teams, actually. I said mediocre, 2 terrible teams. But it's brilliant to have it back, and the king is back. Test cricket on top again. Where I was wrong. Listen, I didn't think LeBron James could go live at Minnie Mouse's house and make it work. But it's happening. The NBA bubble is working. Guys are out there playing, I don't know, cornhole, fishing, playing golf. A lady on the internet, she tweeted, somebody's kind of called me in, she's one of those ladies that the NBA players call in. So they're trying to cancel the season from the outside, and the NBA is taking care of that. Listen, there is a hotline to say, they're calling it the snitch line. But the NBA is going ahead, folks. Unbelievable. Adam Silver, he's the guy. I think Roger Goodell's the best commissioner, probably in world sport. But Adam Silver, man, if you're a player, that's the guy you want. They're having haircuts. The NBA is setting up a place for guys to have haircuts. It is unbelievable in the bubble. Mickey Mouse's house, LeBron James, James Harden, they're going to make it work. NBA, good on you. Dana White, good on you. America, good on you. Not going to let coronavirus beat us. They're going to get back to it. I thought the NBA would be cancelled for the season. Honestly, I did. I thought, what? They're going to live in the princess's castle. Oh, good luck. Because, hey, I'll tell you what NBA players like to do is they like to fornicate with the ladies. That's what they like to do. No lie. We're not children here. Unbelievable that they've created a bubble where they're keeping the ladies out. Good for them, man. NBA, good for you. Dana White, good for you. America, good for you. I'm glad I was wrong. Make it work. Cannot wait. It started last night. And by the way, the setup looks incredible. No fans. 20 cameras. 20 cameras. You're going to be able to hear them swear. You're going to be able to hear them going at each other. It is going to be awesome. I love the NBA. Come on, LeBron James. Come on, LeBron James. Let's make it number 4 and take it home. It'll be the Lakers and, of course, the Clippers in the final. And it's going to get ugly. It's going to be LeBron. It's going to be, man, it is going to be awesome. J.R. Smith is back. NBA, I'm so glad I was wrong. Because Kawhi Leonard is waiting. The Clippers are waiting. It is going to be awesome stuff. Greatest pity, by the way. Just want to throw this in. Zion Williamson. The only reason they let 2 extra teams in from the East was basically to let Zion in, right? They need Zion in there. He's 19. He's going to be the new LeBron James once LeBron retires. Such a pity he had to leave. But all the best to Zion. All the best to the NBA. And thank you, America, for forging the river here. That's where I was right. That's where I was wrong, folks. That is where I was right. See, I'm humble. I'm almost too humble. I'll tell you when I'm wrong. Happy to be wrong. Happy to be wrong. And now, big weekend. The rugby, of course, no doubt there. There was never any doubt. It came back in New Zealand first. Australia is back. And with that, the aging Woude Muller with the skip pass.
Like, how am I supposed to be serious when that's my intro? Seriously, come on. Anyway, yes. Last weekend, I didn't watch much of the rugby because it was my birthday and we had a charity event. This week, though, I'm not sure if it's going to be very exciting rugby to watch, though. I mean, we have the Waratahs and the Rebels tomorrow, which is Friday. I think both teams will be quite desperate to take a win on this one. The Waratahs lost last weekend in like the dying moments of the game, 24-23 to the Brumbies. And the Rebels got back into the game and they ended up having a draw to the Reds, 18-all. I think this one can kind of go either way, probably. I don't know. I haven't picked my Super Bru yet. So if I have to pick one here right now, might change my mind again, but I'll probably go with the Waratahs for this one. Might change my mind. And then Western Force, Brumbies. Brumbies should take that one easily. I do have to say, though, that the Western Force, I think, has kind of proved a lot of people wrong, really. I think they've done a lot better than what we expected them to. And this is also the first game that they will be playing at home since they got kicked out of Super Rugby in 2017. So they definitely would have a lot to prove, but I do think this should be one for the Brumbies. Although the Brumbies haven't really played the way that they played early in the Super Rugby this year. I mean, they were second on the log before Super Rugby got cancelled, but they haven't really been able to step up to that level again. So hopefully they'll start getting into it. And what's this, week 4 now? Hopefully they can get better. Yeah, it's Australian rugby. But on Saturday, we have the Crusaders and the Hurricanes. And then on Sunday, the Blues and the Chiefs. Now, the Blues and the Chiefs haven't named their team yet, so I haven't seen their team names yet. I don't think there should be too many changes for that side. And I think we can all quite easily say that the Blues will win at Eden Park. I don't think there's any discussion around that. I don't think there would be any objections to the Blues taking this one. Am I wrong? No? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Am I wrong?
They're both bad. I don't know. They're both terrible teams, aren't they? They're the two with... Oh, man. Well, so what do you think?
The Blues are second on the log, though, and the Hurricanes are third. I think the Blues are probably at this stage the only team that will still be able to catch the Crusaders, if you want to say that. Not that I think it's going to happen, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be a great game. And obviously, we're going to see Beauden Barrett starting at 10 because Atera Black is still out. So it would be interesting to see what Barrett is going to do. He's very outrightly said that he's more excited to play at 10 than he was playing at 15. So we'll see what he's going to do. Maybe he's going to prove all of us wrong and we'll all have to swallow our words from the previous weeks and everything that we said about him.
Oh, the Chiefs playing Mackenzie at 15 again. I haven't seen the lineups.
Yeah, they haven't released their lineups yet, but I'm assuming that they're going to play him at 15, yeah.
Then pick the Blues.
I also think so. But the game for me to watch this weekend is definitely, if I have to pick one, the Crusaders and the Hurricanes. That is on Saturday morning. I mean, the Crusaders have lost a few players to injury. They've lost Ethan Blackadder. They've lost David Avili. Cullen Grace is out. Eno in the midfield is also out, and I think that's going to be a bit of a problem for them in the midfield. They've got a youngster coming into the midfield now, Pae or something. He's coming into the midfield with Jagudu. Ben Lamb is playing his 50th and his last match for the Hurricanes. He's moving north to Bordeaux for next season, so he is done after this one. We also went to see Dane Coles and Cody Taylor take each other on and hooker, which is quite a pity because I thought that would be quite a good one, the two All Blacks taking each other on. And I think for me, the midfield would probably be a very interesting one. We can all agree that Laumape and Umaga Jensen would want to cause havoc again this weekend, like they did last weekend. And with Jagudu and Eno pairing that really worked for the Crusaders not there, we'll have to see how that one is going to work out. But what I'm specifically going to look at this weekend is probably the back three. Not the back three in the whole team, but the back three of the loose forwards. We keep talking about how amazing the loose forwards in New Zealand are. And we keep saying how this is one of the places where they've got so many players and so many brilliant players. So I think there will be a great matchup with these three players. The Crusaders have Tom Sanders, Wetu Douglas, I'm not going to pronounce his whole name, and Tom Christie. And then the Canes have Reed Prinsep, Ardie Sevilla, and Du Plessis Karifi. And all of them have been named in my team of the week, my pick of the week, week after week for the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes players. So if we actually match them up against each other, when you look at this, the Hurricanes should have one over on the Crusaders absolutely through and through. Even if you just Tom Sanders has only played 2 games. Again, Ethan Blackadder is out, unfortunately. But he's a tackling machine, 10 out of 10 tackles. Wetu Douglas has played 4 games, 28 runs, 49 meters. And again, also 26 out of 32 tackles, 81% tackle rate. And Tom Christie, obviously also their tackling machine with Cullen Grace out. He's playing more often now. And a lot of people are also saying that they're also looking at him for All Blacks option. Tackling machine, 23 out of 25 tackles in the 2 games that he's played. Between the 3 of them, obviously the Crusaders haven't really contested at the breakdown like we would. So the turnovers won and turnovers conceded on and penalties conceded around the breakdown is not that great. They've really stood back a little bit with the whole new breakdown laws and everything. So that's kind of understandable with that. But then we get to the Hurricanes back 3. We've got Foude Principe, 4 games, 25 runs, 36 meters, 48 out of 52 tackles, 92% tackle rate. Ardie Savea, 36 runs, 123 meters, 46 out of 50 tackles. And Duplex Tikarifi, 30 runs, 91 meters, 61 out of 68 tackles. I mean, his turnovers and penalties conceded a little bit more, but it could just mean that the Hurricanes are just playing a little bit of a different game, that they're actually contesting at the breakdowns. But if you look at those 3 players and those matchups, the Hurricanes will definitely have one over on the Crusaders. I don't know what you think. Obviously, Mbolelo, with the tight 5 will have to do their work, and the tight 5 of the Crusaders are absolutely incredible. But if we're taking the back row, the Hurricanes are those 3 players.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for a loose trio though to be able to play with back foot ball. I just wonder if, because Savea, he wants the ball in hand, and it's tough if you're going backwards. It's going to be a long day for the Hurricanes back 3. We'll see. I love Karifi, I love Savea, but my God, I back the Crusaders, as you know, all the time, because they're tight 5 so disciplined. So, it takes the fatties to give you that front foot ball. So for me, I'm backing the Crusaders. I think a terrible day for the Hurricanes coming up.
No, well, I'm also backing the Crusaders. There's no way that I won't back the Crusaders. But I think if there's one place that the Hurricanes would be able to do it is with that back 3. They're going to have a very, very difficult day, even though in the other games we can see what they can do. And so if the Crusaders can kind of stop giving them ball in hand, it's going to be an even more difficult day for the Hurricanes. So I think that's probably what they're going to try and do. It would be interesting to see if the Crusaders are going to contest at the breakdown more this weekend to make sure that those players can't get the ball and can't get the turnovers. So I think they're definitely going to struggle with the tight 5, especially with Dane Cole's not playing. I mean, you've got Moody, you've got Cody Taylor, and you've got, is the other prop, the Crusaders?
Some All Black. I haven't seen the lineup yet. Yeah.
That guy. And then obviously you've got Sam Whitelock and you've got Dunshaim. So brilliant tight 5 for the Crusaders, but the back 3 of the Hurricanes, they've been incredible. And week after week, I keep naming them in my team of the week, them and Shannon Frizzell. That's basically who I obviously love the most. But then I think another matchup for me, and we've been talking about this, and we've been talking about Laumape and Jai Goodhue. And if we actually look at these 2 against each other, because Laumape is definitely putting his hand up for All Black selection, and especially after the game he played last weekend, I think he's been absolutely incredible, actually. Goodhue, he's obviously the All Blacks centre at the moment, and he played at the World Cup last year. Laumape didn't. But if we just actually have to put them up next to each other, we keep talking about Laumape doesn't tackle. He has 35 out of 39 tackles in the games that he's played. We keep saying that he doesn't pass the ball. He's had 35 passes, way more than what Goodhue has done. Runs, Goodhue's only had 29 runs. Laumape has had 61. Meters made, 47 for Goodhue, 244 for Laumape. He's at an 87% tackle rate. So we can't say that he's not tackling. We can't say that he doesn't do that. Yes, that is definitely an area that he can still work on in his game. 35 passes and then try assist. Goodhue has at 4, Laumape has at 8 try assist. So maybe what we see of him is not necessarily what we think he can do. But if you actually go down to actual stats, he's looking like the better 12 at the moment. And I know you're not crazy about him, Mbolelo, so give me your opinion on it. But looking just at stats, I think he's
doubts.
really putting his hand up.
Yeah, look, he's playing well, but I know the All Black, the way the All Blacks select is, Goodhue gives you that direction. And I think what they want to do, you'll see he's moved to inside now. He was playing 13. I think what they want to do is pair him with Leonard Brown, because Leonard Brown they're more test-like players. Laumape's thing is, I can do it on my own. And we know that doesn't work with the All Blacks. Look at how quickly they dropped Julian Savea, like the World Cup guy. And then he started to become glory boy. Get out of here. Get that out of here. So, listen, Laumape, electrifying to watch. I wouldn't pick him for the All Blacks because he's not complete. I still need somebody that organizes. And Goodhue, for me, is just another level. There's nothing Goodhue can't do. There's too many things Laumape can't do. Electrifying with ball in hand, but too limited besides, for me. But, hey, unbelievable player. Great to have him on the bench.
Yeah, I think his game has changed a lot. And I think he's definitely working on the areas that he wasn't good at, and exactly probably the reason why I didn't get picked last year for the World Cup squad. So I think of the things, like I said, specifically when we look at the tackling and the passing and things, so he's not just playing for himself anymore. So he obviously, maybe someone told him that, maybe he realized this is what I need to change in my game. So it would be interesting to see how much more he works on this. So I think a lot of players, and this is what's probably good for New Zealand at this stage with just the competition in themselves, because they are seeing what they actually need to work on as a player. Ricky Ayane, he's brilliant 13, and they've moved him to 13 now, but his defense is also not great. He's much better with the ball in hand, but this is what he's working on now. And it gives him this freedom to be like, 1 week, okay, I'm going to be working more on my defense at this point and that point. And you can see it in their stats when you actually compare their stats from week to week. 1 week, it would be very much ball in hand kind of work. The other week, it would be more on defense. And I find it quite interesting because this is obviously maybe coming from the top. Maybe this is what they see, what they want their players to work on. Everyone's just on the same page. But I don't know. I'm becoming more of a Laumape fan of what I'm seeing of him. I hope that he can even work more on his weaknesses, because I think if he can work on that, he can be quite a complete player. I think he's turning into more of an all-round player. Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him. I like that. Yeah, listen, that big weekend coming up. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be a great game.
And who did you pick there?
I'm going to the Crusaders, though. I will never go against the Crusaders.
Yeah, no, solid. Listen, that's quite that is a relatively easy call, because they're something else.
No, definitely. I don't think it will be such a big gap between them. I do think the Hurricanes will give them a run for their money, but I'll go for the Crusaders. Yeah. And I see, Ian, I see what you're saying to me. If the Crusaders are as great as you guys say, why don't you just pick the squad for the All Blacks? And the reason for that is because there are so many other great players in other teams. But the way that the Crusaders is set up, the way that they coached, and the way that they manage their players, it works so well for that setup. All Black setup is very different, and it's actually exactly the same as what we do in South Africa. The Springboks play a little bit of a different game to what the provincial teams play, and it's the same there. Crusaders setup works so well with the guys that play in that team. And unfortunately, when you get to All Blacks, there are other guys in the other teams that are also really good. So you can't just pick the whole team. I understand what you're saying, because they are really great. But there are also other guys that are better than them. But as a unit, they just fire. They're on fire, and they play so ridiculously well together. And Scott Robertson's amazing coach.
Yeah, but Ian, you don't need the whole team. What you need is the culture of the Crusaders being carried into the All Blacks. If you look at the great Barca, you don't have to pick the whole Spanish team, but go and look at the core of that. Puyol, Xavi Hernandez, Iniesta, right? Then you've got that Barcelona winning attitude, right? They were winning everything. So if the Crusaders just bring that winning mentality and they bring the core, and this is nothing new, by the way, the All Blacks forever, it's been Blackadder, right? It's been that entire Leon MacDonald. It's been, I mean, I could list them now and keep going. Justin Marshall, Andrew Mertens. So the Crusaders have always been the spine of New Zealand rugby. It's not like, we're not talking like this is something new. This is a winning culture. You bring enough of that, and then you bring the special players, your Barretts and maybe your surveyors, and you add a few. How do you lose with that?
No, geez, I can 100, but it's the culture at that team that just makes them a winning team week after week. And I said this before, they're also managing their players so well. Because in New Zealand, it's hard rugby every single weekend. The guys are bruised and battered and sore, and we can see the injuries coming through now. Yes, the Crusaders do have a few injuries, but it's like a broken thumb or a toe or something like that. It's not as such serious injury that they're going to be out long term, but because the competition is so short, they will be out for the rest of the competition. And I think they're doing it so well. They're resting their players when they need to be rested. They rotate them the whole time. So it's just that whole mentality and the culture that, like Mbolela said, culture at the Crusaders that are just turning them into a winning team. Yeah.
Well said. So Crusaders for Woude, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it. There you have it. Looking forward to the weekend, Woude. I'm looking forward to seeing how this all ends up. I'm actually looking forward to that game because that's like structure versus, the Hurricanes throwing it around, Laumape doing his thing. I'm really, really looking forward to that game. That's going to be an interesting battle of styles.
Yeah. And I hope the midfield of the Crusaders can keep the midfield of the Hurricanes under control. Obviously, the back three of the Crusaders, George Bridge, Severis, and Will Jordan will also be electrifying from that point of view. So it's going to be, and then Geordie Barrett on the other side. It will be interesting to see how they're going to counterattack each other's styles and where they're going to attack them on. That's what I'm interested in. How are the Hurricanes going to try to stop the Crusaders? Is it going to be at the breakdown? Is it going to be at the back? Is it going to be in the midfield? Yeah. So I'm quite interested in this one.
Awesome stuff. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Woude. And so you're back again on Monday, huh?
On Monday. Yes, on Monday. So hopefully I can come back and say that I was right with all my picks.
I'm hoping that as well. Listen, special guest on Monday, of course. Look out for special guests on Mondays when Woude's on. We got Skulk Brits confirmed for Monday. World Cup winner and just absolute dynamo. That is going to be awesome. So Woude, looking forward to seeing you again on Monday. That's going to be amazing with the champ that is Skulk Brits. Enjoy the rugby.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, that is the skip pass, ladies and gentlemen, with Woude Muller. She's saying Crusaders, liking Laumape. Woude saying, what do you guys think? Because Woude's into the Laumape train. He's had an incredible individual season so far. Should he be in the All Blacks team already? Is he making a case? Is he pushing Leonard Brown out? Maybe, because Goodhue can play both. Woude made a good point there is Laumape is working on himself. I thought that was a great point that Woude made. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with Woude? Should Laumape be more in contention? Is Goodhue the guy? What do you guys think? I'd love to know what you think of Woude's take there, but she is on the Laumape train and Woude in the skip pass saying the Crusaders to do their thing. So coming up after this, listen, if you think you love your football team, you've got no idea, because you and me, we run our mouths, right? We love our football club. Things go wrong. We kind of have a bad weekend, but some people invest. They go beyond fanhood, right? They become a fabric within the club. The fabric of the club is them and they are the club. The gentleman coming up next has spent the last 18 years of his life serving his football club in the most literal. He has given himself to his football club, serving the club in the most literal sense. He is a servant to the football club he loves, and he has been for life. But in particular for the last 18 years. This is going to be an incredible chat, by the way, coming up after this, an amazing, amazing sports story. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have loved football my entire life. I was fortunate enough to play it at quite a serious level in the United Kingdom. I was at the Watford Training Centre as a youngster. And I mean, for me, I think I've given my life to football. I do in my personal life. I absolutely love it. I always say there's a reason I'm single is that football is my wife. But the man coming up now has taken it to another level in terms of dedication and just giving yourself to a football club. It's admirable to me. To some people may say, hey, a little over the top. I disagree. You know, was it the great Bill Shankly who said, football is not a matter of life and death. It's far more serious than that. So I couldn't agree more. I absolutely love football. It is the greatest game in the world. But I'm going to introduce our guest, and it is going to be electric to speak to this guy. The story is almost unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Wimbledon's biggest fan of all time. The club has gone through ups, downs. He is stuck with them. Ladies and gentlemen, 18-year director of AFC Wimbledon, the one, the only, Ivor Heller. All right, Ivor. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, Dave. Ivor, I'm struggling to hear you there. I don't know if you need to unmute your mic that side, or is it our side? Maybe if you just try and refresh your page there, Ivor. But folks, Ivor has been, while we sort that sound issue out, he has been a director at AFC Wimbledon. Of course, we know what they've gone through. We're going to talk about the whole story from Wimbledon to AFC Wimbledon to the other team that won't be named, that shall not be named or spoken about. We will talk about that as well while Dave tries to sort that out. So, Ivor, folks, incredible story. If you haven't seen it, you know, we know about the history of Wimbledon. I want Ivor to lay it out for us. He absolutely loves the football club more than you could ever imagine. So I just cannot wait to chat to this guy, because I absolutely listen. I love football, right? It's democratic. It's democratic. Everybody in the world loves football. There isn't a country in the world where football isn't the game, right? I know a guy who loves football so much. And in fact, I thought it was a unique story, and people thought it was a generic story I was telling. But he loves Arsenal Football Club so much. Him and his wife got in like marital trouble. He renamed his house Lanasa, right? When you rename your house Lanasa, that's Arsenal backwards, by the way. So football is something that just changes everybody's life. And for Wimbledon in particular, I mean, we're talking about the Dons. It's been incredible, because once something like this happens, it doesn't just grip you from a sporting sense. It grips you truly from a life sense. Like Chelsea lost last night. My day was ruined. I didn't feel like, of course I still did it, but I didn't want to exercise this morning. I was like, this is horrible. If you're not a sports fan, maybe you don't understand. And I think football, because it's the one sport in the whole world that actually connects people, whether you are Nigerian or Taiwanese, right? The emotion, the collective emotion, especially in the world we live in. We've got Twitter, we've got Facebook. You know, so for us, it connects all of us. So I'm feeling the emotions of every Chelsea fan in the Maldives. You know, it's not me on my own. Man, it is something else. Should we see if we've got Ivor back there? How are we doing there, Dave? All right, we're still working. We're still working on Ivor, and we'll try and get him back. But listen, let's talk quickly about what's happening in the Premier League before we go back to Ivor. This weekend, it's tight, right? If Leicester and United draw and Chelsea do not win or lose, it's a problem. And Chelsea have a tough one because they're playing Wolves, although at home. That Wolves team, they got something to play for because they want to be in Europa League. And I'm not loving it. Pulisic has to start. If you're a Chelsea fan, Pulisic has to start. If you're a United fan, on the other hand, I wouldn't be feeling that confident, because when you saw that West Ham performance, that was a nervy performance. And I don't care what you say, Leicester on the worst day are better than West Ham. Far, far better than West Ham. So we'll see how that works out. And my God, Leicester have collapsed, haven't they? Is that because they lost Ben Chilwell? Is that what's happened there? I mean, Soyuncu obviously being suspended. I mean, that was just madness. I don't know what he was doing kicking out there in the net. But that's just a crazy, crazy situation. The Premier League's lined up for probably the biggest fairy tale finish since, I mean, Liverpool have won it. So you're talking probably since that Man City game, you might see the most drama since Aguero's famous moment. We haven't seen that much drama till now. So what we'll do, I think, Dave, while we try and sort Ivor's sound out, maybe we'll go to a break again, and we will try and get Ivor back. Get him back with us. See if we can get him back. It'll be all. Cannot wait to have that chat. Apologies about the technical glitches there, but we'll get Ivor back in the background so long. And then, folks, stick around with us. We'll work on that sound. Come on, Leicester, indeed. Alrighty, so we're going to go to a break, folks. We'll be back in a bit.
So hang on.
Alrighty, we are back. And we have got Ivor Heller on the line. Ivor, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Ah, terrific. There we go. I can hear you loud and clear. Got you back. We got the gremlins out the system.
Yeah, I've got no idea what was going on there, so I'm ever so sorry. But, there you go. I'm certainly not a technical whiz kid, I can tell you that much.
At least you're self-aware. Ivor, it is an honor to have you here. I've been a massive British football fan my whole life. And of course, I know your story and the story you've been through. So, I just want to start off by maybe introducing you to people that may not know you. You've for 18 years, you've dedicated your life to what we now know as the real Dons, right? But what we now know as AFC Wimbledon. But what is it about football and Wimbledon? How long have you been a fan of Wimbledon, Ivor?
Okay, I started going to Wimbledon when I was, there's a bit of an argument whether I was 7 years old when I first started to go. But the story really started in 1974-75. That was when Wimbledon were just a non-league team, so equivalent of level 5, 6 now. We weren't really, we weren't very good, but I got taken in football coach, and I walked in and I smelt the hot dogs and I smelt the liniment on the players. I was next to to everybody, the banter in the crowd, and I fell in love with it. Just totally fell in love with it, and I've been in love with it ever since.
Oh man, and as a boyhood fan, we all have two dreams, right? It's either to play for our club or to somehow be connected with it, whether it's to be a ball boy, to one day be the manager, and ultimately to own or be involved in the decisions that shape our club. And it's incredible what your story has taken you to. It's absolutely incredible. But let's start at the beginning, Ivor, because Wimbledon came into our consciousness in the international world, right?
Yeah.
With something called the Crazy Gang.
Yes.
And obviously, you've been a fan since since you were however old. But talk to me about that period. Obviously, it was a miracle, and there was a man called by the name of Sam Hammam, who changed the face of Wimbledon forevermore. Talk us through of who was he, what was he like, and then talk us through that era of being a Wimbledon fan and what it was like.
Okay, well, first of all, you do need to go right back to really get the story, because the Crazy Gang really started in 78, 79 and 80, 81 is when things really took a turn to the crazy. You see, there was Dave Bassett was the guy who became the manager, or Harry Bassett as he's known to his friends. And he was the guy that instilled and started the Crazy Gang all the way back then, long before Vinnie Jones had got his hands on it. So Sam took over the club, and Bassett became the manager. And Bassett took the club from the 4th division all the way to the 1st division. And on the way, he did that there were 6 youth team players that started in the 4th division and went all the way to the Premier League. 6. That's never happened before. It'll never happen again, because he just molded this team together. And Sam came along at the time, and he kind of involved the Crazy Gang spirit, where he liked to have hygiene, he liked mischief of it. So whilst you might not get paid that much to be a Wimbledon player, you had more fun at Wimbledon than you would do anywhere. It was a camaraderie spirit, and that's carried on with the club from those days right away to today. Whereas it's not so much with the players now; it's the people behind the scenes that do these crazy things to make the club happen the way it does. So there's an amazing spirit around the world Wimbledon. And Sam Hammam, he had his place in his history, but at the end of the day, you see, he did something to us that I don't agree. You see, the one thing that is precious to all of us, and I'm sure it is to you and to many, many others listening, that family is all important. And Sam Hammam called Wimbledon his family. And then basically he sold his family out. he sold his family out ultimately, and that's something that you can't do in my book. You can't sell your family. We've got some of us weren't standing back and did something about for you.
I mean, that is a tragic. That is a tragic story after everything that achieved. But tell me, what was it like at that stage? Did you think, I mean, as football fans, we think it'll carry on forever. You know, the story you've just told,
yeah.
everybody praises Alex Ferguson for doing it with his kids. This story is far more incredible. It is a far, far more incredible team than Manchester United with all the financial backing they had. This is an incredible story. 6 of your very own taking you from what is now League 2 to the promised land and an FA Cup. That is ridiculous.
It is totally mad. There is no ifs or buts about it, and you have to give an awful lot of credit to Bassett for doing that. But at that time, in 1977, when we would have got elected into the league, I've got a witness for this. I tell you, I was 14 then, and I turned around to my best friend. He's still my best friend, and I said to him, "Do you know what?" He said, 10 seasons from now, Wimbledon will be in the first division and we'll win the FA Cup." And he turned around to me and he said, "You've always been an optimist." He said, "But that's completely mental. You need to go and have a lay down in a dark room." And I just know, I believe it. And then lo and behold, what did we do? We went and did it. We did it. In season 87, 88, we won the FA Cup. And so it was totally bizarre, but there was something about the club that said that from our non-league days, that said that no mountain was too high for us to climb. Nothing couldn't be climbed. And here's an amazing thing for you. And this is one of the things that when you talk about falling in love with a football team, this is a big part of it. When we got to the first division, everyone said, "You'll have one good year in the first division, boys, and then you'll go down and enjoy your ride." Well, they were a little bit wrong there, because we went to Anfield, we went to Liverpool. Liverpool had not been beaten at home for 42 matches, and we beat them. We beat Chelsea at Chelsea. We beat Chelsea 4-0. We beat Man United at Man United, and we did the double over Man United. We beat them at home as well, right? We went to Tottenham and we beat Tottenham, and we went to Man City and we beat Man City. Bear in mind that all of those clubs were the massive clubs at the time, but nobody has beaten the big four away in one season since then. We were the last team to do that. Liverpool haven't done it. Nobody's done it. We did it. It's utterly remarkable. Utterly remarkable.
Utterly remarkable.
Yeah. The
well
truth
said.
of it,
Go ahead.
The budgets as well. And this is something that people really can't believe. But I know this is true. I've actually seen the documents. But in 1987, 88. Oh, no, sorry, 1986-87, our first year in the first division, or the Premier League, our total budget, including manager's wage and transfers and every player, was 350,000. That was it. There were already players being bought and sold for $1 million plus. Then, and with 350,000, we finished 6th in the old first division, having done the double over Man United, beating Liverpool at Liverpool. We had a run of games that were, it was just remarkable. It was so remarkable, and what tremendous fun as well. Going to all these places, this tiny club, going to these massive clubs, and we used to go to the away games. There weren't that many of us, but we were a hearty bunch, I think is the best way to put it. We'd go to those games, we'd make a noise, and we'd come away laughing because, guess what, it was David and Goliath every week for us, but we kept slaying the giants. We just kept doing it, and we've never stopped since.
I love it. So, Ivor, just before we move on to how you sort of transitioned, and obviously the story that happened with the first iteration of Wimbledon is now, as a football fan, that sort of being a local and being that attached to your club, do you think, the international nature, even of League One and League Two, I mean, we're watching that in South Africa and globally. Do you think that side has sort of taken away from the locals' experience and attachment to the club, or do you think it's adding to your experience? Because what you're talking about is that them against us mentality. Literally, if you live in a place, you support that club. I think that's dissipating slightly, and people's support of a more global sense. How is it as a local to see the game go global, particularly in England?
I mean, it's really difficult for me to quantify this for you, but we've always bucked trends at Wimbledon. So and since we formed AFC Wimbledon, we are the highest ranked fans owned club in the country, and we're moving into a new ground back at Plough Lane, all funded by our fans, and some of the stuff they've done is quite miraculous. Raising £5.2 million in a bond, just so we could get the finance over the line. This was done by fans, not by anybody else. That's miraculous. So we have got a very local tie, very, very local. Some other clubs have lost some of that. I do agree with that because of the globalisation of football, but that's not a good thing. And I believe that after the COVID-19 stuff, I think there'll be a kickback to your local football clubs, and people will realise that they are the fabric of our communities, and we have to support our communities. So I think that will change back very sharply, in fact.
Yeah. Listen, Ivor, your handsome face is being cut off slightly by your phone. If you could just move it up so that we can get there. We go. You could actually sit like that. We can hear you perfectly from there.
Okay, that's cool. As long as you can hear me, okay. That's
yeah.
Fine.
Oh, that's crystal. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, Ivor, wow, jeez! Look at that handsome mug. Look at that handsome mug. So then, Ivor, I think you've transitioned beautifully to I think where we are today. There's obviously that fatal day, and I mean, I think the coup de grace in 2003, but there were events leading up to the formation of what we now know as MK Dons. I'm sorry to have to say that out loud, but then of course what you had to do. Could you? I'm sorry to do it. It's okay. As a big time journalist with a. Sorry, I'm a big time journalist with a big J. I have to do the ugly side of journalism.
You're forgiven already, okay? Just.
But talk us to. Everybody kind of got a very one-sided media spun. Either we got the MK Dons version, and we really got it through sort of Sky Sport and BBC. But as somebody who was close to it, talk me through, number one, your journey towards becoming a part of the fabric of Wimbledon, not just somebody on the outside and just a fan, and then leading up to these tragic days where administration became a reality. What actually happened? Because, I mean, I've read a lot about the story, and we've all read a lot about the story, but it's much more interesting, I think, for us to hear it for a gladiator that was in the arena. I'm sorry to bring out such tough days for you.
No. I look back on most of it with a fair whack of fondness, believe it or not, because look, what happened was I was a vice president of Wimbledon FC, so I was quite involved. I did some bits and pieces for the club and was heavily involved. I knew a lot of the players and so on. And at the same time, I'd come from the terraces, so I knew that a lot of the fans were my old friends and still are my old friends and always were. But I moved into the posh lounge and a bit of the prawn sandwich brigade, and I sat in the director's box with I sat next to Alex Ferguson for a game. All sorts of people around us all the time. It was amazing, really, to have that kind of access. But all the time, from the minute we moved to Sellers Park from Plough Lane, our traditional home ground, we were put in a position of fear for the club. So there were the Independent Supporters Association was formed, and that a lot of people that I know formed that and were in that and did a fantastic job. But eventually, things started to unravel, and we were just playing at a football ground, sharing a ground. We didn't have the income streams that we needed from the ground. The crowds were actually getting a little bit bigger, but things weren't quite right. And they started saying that we had to have a ground and we had to move. And the first thing that came up really was they were going to move Wimbledon to Dublin in Ireland. That was the first thing. That was just preposterous. So the fans kind of mobilised a bit more then, and I started to get heavily involved. And as soon as that came about, they started to talk about Now, there were whispers they were going to try and move the club to Milton Keynes. And those whispers got louder and louder until everybody felt that we were being lied to by the people that now own the club. Sam Maman sold the club to these two Norwegian characters, and they put a chairman in called Charles Koppel, who was an interesting character, actually from South Africa. He was...
can't trust these South Africans.
Yeah, well, what can I tell you? What can I tell you? I still wear the T-shirt with something about on it. But anyway, so things started to move at a pace. And by the end of the season 2001, they released a document that said that a unique solution for a unique football club was to move Wimbledon to Milton Keynes. And at that time, we rose up, I think is the best way to put it. We formed a supporters trust, which actually was started in October 2001, but was formally inaugurated on February the 10th, 2002. I was the vice chair of that trust. I resigned as a vice president and was living off of borrowed tickets. We were demonstrating at every game. We were coming up with some very clever things. We got in the newspapers. We were very clandestine. But the move to go to Milton Keynes seemed like it had become relentless. And then the FA, in all their wisdom, in 2002, they appointed a arbitration panel whose decision was binding. So a 3-man panel was going to sit. The Trust and Independent Supporters Association were represented at those readings, those hearings. I didn't do that, but a lady called Lou Carlton-Kelly did that, and a gentleman called Chris Stewart represented the fans. Ultimately, on May the 27th, 2002, I got a phone call from a friend of mine at the FA who told me, Ivor, I don't know how to tell you this, but you've lost. The 3-man commissioners voted, it's 2-1, and they're going to let Wimbledon move to Milton Keynes. And at that point, it was a huge shock. But I'd already started talking to Chris Stewart and a few other people to say that if they say the club can go to Milton Keynes, we will rise up and we'll start again. And the next day, the result was being given at the FA headquarters. I couldn't tell anybody except the 4 people that I trusted most, and that I knew I wanted to work with to start a new club. So I phoned Trevor Williams, I phoned Mark Jones, and I phoned Chris Stewart. And Chris Stewart, I said that I thought that Chris should be the first chairman and the first man to lead the club, because whilst I have a lot of the business people, I know an awful lot of people all over the place, it is very important that he's someone that I thought could unify everybody, and me and him together with the other guys could be very powerful to start the club and then move it on to be owned wholly by our supporters trust. So
before we move on there, Ivor, I just want to jump in there because, wow, this is an unbelievable story already. I just want to talk, I just want to ask you, what is the personal cost when something like this happens? Because I think a lot of us that support football clubs from afar just see you being in the, you eating prawn sandwiches with Alex Ferguson and all you hoity-toities up there, all you yuppies up there. But you're a real fan. So you're not just like a guy who's counting the beans. Talk to me about, number one, the emotional toll on yourself. And sometimes, not many people get to sit and talk to a football executive. What is the cost to your family life? Because you're still human. What is the cost to your real life when something this is a absolutely seismic event, I would imagine, in your life. And I would imagine when you're this engrossed in a football club, your family's involved in the club now. You don't, your soul is attached to it. Did it affect your personal life, if I may ask?
Yeah, of course it did. Yeah, but most of that came a bit later. In the fight, the actual fight, we were all very unified, but all you could do was demonstrate and fight. So there wasn't the actual job of running a football club. There was a job of fighting a campaign, which I was quite effective at with many other people. I've got to say there were a lot of people put a lot into that time, and I will say this with absolute certainty that I was the last man on the picket line. I was the last man standing at every demonstration. I would not go until I'd rinsed every ounce out of it. And the cost to that was, there was a small cost to that, I suppose, but generally it was just fighting, and it was very engrossing and took up a lot of time. And you talked to a lot of people all the time, and you were putting yourself out there, campaigning and really trying to get support for what we were doing. So that was that. But later on, once we'd started the club and did everything on a voluntary basis, that had a much higher toll. Eventually, both business wise and personally.
Well, we'll come to that. Ivor, I just want to know: sure. Did leaving Plough Lane, did that break your heart? Because I keep hearing about Chelsea, obviously leaving Stamford Bridge, and that wrenches my heart, and I'm all these miles away. Leaving Plough Lane, what did that do to you? Now, Ivor, hell of a man.
Yeah, that slaughtered me. I mean, just to make you laugh, I suppose. I bought a flat within walking distance of Plough Lane, and I signed the deal with an extra car parking space, so my mates could come and park it there, leave their cars there, and we could all go and get drunk and go to the game. So I'd done that because I was so hooked on the club that I wanted to be close enough to walk there, and then the next day after I signed that for that flat, that apartment, the next day we moved to Sellers Park. So it absolutely killed me. It killed me. And for a few years, I didn't go to home games because I had to drive past Plough Lane to go to Sellers Park, and I wouldn't go to the games. I'm just like, no, I can't do that. We shouldn't be playing there. It's totally wrong. Eventually, I got drawn back in through for various different reasons. But it was heartbreaking. That was home. That was somewhere I'd gone since I was kind of 6-7 years old, and there was something about it. We knew it wasn't a first division ground. We knew it wasn't good enough, but we'd beaten Manchester United there. We'd beaten Liverpool there. We'd beaten Tottenham there. We beat everybody there, literally everybody. And to have that taken away was extremely cruel. But worse than that was to come when they said that because Sellers Park was 7 miles away. Now, I don't know if you've been to London at all, but 7 miles in London is could take an hour and a half to get there. Because of the traffic of so many people. So that was.
I've played at Selhurst Park, Ivor. I will watch with Jude. I've played at Selhurst Park. It's a dump.
Yeah, well, what can I say? I wouldn't say that live on air, but I can kind of agree.
Well, I've said it.
Yeah, it was it was a horrible journey to get there, and it just felt very wrong. And I thought that we'd been sold down the river. I thought that Plough Lane, it was just a property deal, which it turned out to be. That's what it was. You could have built a First Division Premier League ground on that ground, no problem whatsoever. But Sam had got hold of the covenant with the council, which was wrong. Should never have been allowed to do that. And as soon as he did, he was allowed to move without having another ground for us to go to that was in our natural conurbation. So, it's just, it'll be like moving Manchester United to Liverpool. It's probably never going to happen, but it was that kind of seismic thing for me. But then
sacrilege.
Sacrilege. Yeah, it was sacrilege. But eventually we moved on. I went to Sellers Park, but then all the talk of moving to Milton Keynes, that was a bridge too far. That was like, no, we're drawing a line in the sand. We're not going to let that happen. And then it became very emotional. And I was described as a radical, an activist. I was called, which was quite funny. But one thing that we did, that the Wimbledon fans did, and all of us, because we were clever, you see, we were quite smart. We weren't stupid people. we did everything with dignity. And because we did it with dignity, that enabled us to start AFC Wimbledon with real dignity. And that's one of the things that I'm proudest of, is that I think we've maintained that dignity through our rise and rise and rise and rise. We've kept our dignity intact, and I think that's an amazing thing in the modern age, to be honest.
Absolutely.
So,
And having said that, and I just want to add a little bit of context for people. By the way, Plough Lane was tragically turned into basically like a shopping center, by the way. So the soul of a football club was ripped apart purely and was turned over, and people were lied to, just to essentially turn it into a shopping center. That's what happened.
Well,
right, Ivor? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, it turned into apartments.
Or was it
actually.
apartments? I mean,
Yeah,
even worse.
originally
Even worse.
Originally, it was meant to be a shop, but they never actually got the planning permission for that. But then eventually it turned into apartments, and the apartments are named after famous old Wimbledon players. And the whole thing is really quite sick, to be honest with you. And it's not something that I'm still sore about it when I drive past it. But I'm not sore now because 150 yards down the road, we're building our new home, and I've been there today, and it's truly remarkable. So
let's go.
All's well that. But there's a massive story.
Right, let's talk about some good news. Man, yes, let's get some good news. Then, of course, the tremendous story. Before you even came to break ground, you then AFC Wimbledon became a reality. Ivor, how do you even start to fund something like that? You touched on it just now with the fans, etc. How do you even go about starting to get help? And I know there's a great story from some guys who, any male who says they love football, we have spent hours and hours playing this game, by the way. And I know that you had an interesting conversation with these guys. I remember reading this article. I followed this story forever, Ivor. Please tell us how they came to and that conversation and who the gentlemen I'm referring to are.
Well, there are several different groups of people that you could be talking about, but I'll tell you how we got started. Where we got very lucky to start with because we got in the London FA to help us. They told us what we needed to do. We basically had 10 working days to have a 3-year solid lease on a football ground that had a fence around the pitch, floodlights, a changing room, and a bar. That's what we needed. We also needed a lot more than that because we thought a lot of people would come and see us, you see. So we needed more than that. So that's what we had 10 working days to do. No more. So we set about that. We approached the London FA. They guided us, told us what we needed to do. We then got in touch with a few clubs, and loads of people said, "Oh, you can go play here, you can play there." But luckily, we got hold of a Mr. Kosler, Rajesh Kosler, at Kingstonians Football Club, which is a mile and a half outside of our natural conurbation, so a lot closer than Selhurst Park. And luckily, he could see that his tills would start ringing. The bar take would be very good, and that we said that we thought we'd get at least 1,000 people to a game. He said that's fantastic. Let's do a deal. We did a deal, and that was what enabled us to get started. But before we could do the deal, we had to get some money. So we had an open meeting on the Thursday, and in front of a massive.
Oh no, we seem to have lost Ivor there, and he was just getting to the good part. Oh, Ivor, are you back? Oh no, I don't know what's happened to your sound there. Listen, we'll get him back. Oh no, we were going so well there. We'll get him back though, because that was getting interesting. He was really getting into. So, folks, at this stage, Wimbledon, AFC Wimbledon are getting started, right? Getting restarted. Dave will sort that out with Ivor. We'll sort that sound out, and we will get him back. But quite incredible story. It is a quite incredible story. They went from FA Cup. So the Selhurst Park thing, that's not workable. If you don't watch football, you don't understand. It's sacrilegious to have to play at somebody else's ground. Like he said, it's like having to ask Manchester United to go play at Anfield. Are you kidding me? Well, imagine asking Tottenham to go and play at the Emirates. No dice. absolutely no go. So that just is not going to work. So we will try and get Ivor. We will try and get Ivor back, folks. So, as I was saying earlier, we've got Skulk Brits, by the way, on Monday. And tomorrow, just while we're trying to get Ivor back for the back end of that interview, apologies for the technical faults, but tomorrow we have got Sweden's greatest, and it is not close, Sweden's greatest journalist of all time, by the way. Sweden's greatest journalist of all time, Jens Littorin. By the way, fun fact, he was there when that awful Anders Breivik, I think his name was, the terrorist in Norway. He covered that story, but he has covered Olympics and World Games and so much more. One of the greatest journalists, sports journalists and journalists in general that Sweden has ever had. Met him last year in Sweden. Cannot wait to bring him to you. Tell you what we'll do while we try and get Ivor back is let's take some questions. Dave, do we have anything? All righty, let's have a look. Stephen Brooks says, the Leicester rot started long ago. 5 league wins in 2020. Quite right. Stephen, you are dead right. By the way, Stephen, massive Leeds fan. Must say, welcome back to the Yorkshiremen because they've been unbelievable. So I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll go to an ad break, see if we can get Ivor back. If we can't, we'll have to try and get Ivor back another time and we'll finish the interview. But thrilling stuff, by the way. These are the types of interviews we want to bring you. We want to bring you real stories from around the world, folks. The Wimbledon story captured the world. It captured the world. One of the biggest authors in the world is one of the sponsors, but I was hoping Ivor could tell us this. Remember, if we can't get him back, not to worry. We will make more time with Ivor and we'll pick it up from here. Folks, let's go to a break, Dave, and we will come back and we will see if we can get Ivor back. If not tonight, we'll definitely make sure that we get Ivor back and we have him on solid ground come next time. Thrilling stuff, though. How about having to move your own football club? 10 days to make it happen. My God. Absolutely thrilling. All right, we're going to go to a break so we can get Ivor back.
You got me back?
Yeah, let's go. Sorry. Cool.
Yep. Okay. I'm so sorry about that. That someone called me. That's what did it, and it just cut off. I'm so sorry.
Ivor, it is an honor to have you here. Do not be sorry about anything. By the way, I just want to be clear that anybody watching this, if you want to be associated with this show, we now hate MK Dons. I don't care what people say. This is not Ivor saying it. I'm saying it. This is now Ivor. By the way, we get any players from the Dons, because these are the real Dons. Any players, anybody that wants to come on, Ivor, please, we welcome them. We want to support the club. I love the story. Wimbledon's now our club. If you watch Cliff Central, right? If you listen to Cliff Central, Ivor, by the way, we have like 500,000 listeners a week. To all of our listeners, you are now a Wimbledon fan. Keep your Premier League club. I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm going to keep Chelsea. But Wimbledon is my club now because Ivor took the invitation and is a gent. But he's been a gent through the request. Absolute gent. So now if you're watching, listening, keep your first club. But Ivor, this is now Wimbledon and AFC Wimbledon show. Just letting you know, MK Dons, get that nonsense out of here. I don't want to see anybody with an orange shirt in public.
You know, to tell the truth, the whole thing there, the franchising of football is something that's abhorrent in this country, and it happened once. It will never happen again. It just so happened to be that it happened to us. But quite frankly, where we are now, we're in a better place, because if that hadn't happened,
let's go.
We would never have got back to Wimbledon. We would never have got what we got now, and that's an incredible thing. Things happen for a reason, and whilst we lost the original fight, and we lost that original fight, we've won the war many times over.
You're a far better man than me. I am vindictive. Maybe this is why I'm single and you're happily married, is that I will not move on. Wimbledon all the way. If you're watching this show, I will block you from the channel if you don't support Wimbledon from here on. But Ivor, we're on a positive note, right? You were just telling us about now the kind of intro and the club starting to move forward.
Yeah. The best bit, I was getting to the bit where we had the first public meeting, where at that meeting there were like 8 different TV crews, radio people from all over the world were there. Actually, it was an amazing, tingling atmosphere, and we had to win the room. You see, because there were people in the room that still wanted to carry on fighting. They wanted us to carry on fighting, but we knew that was irrevocable now. The football league thing was irrevocable, and we couldn't carry on fighting. So the argument was going backwards and forwards when Chris Stewart actually passed the chair of the meeting to somebody else so he could speak. And he stood up there and he said, "So, guys, listen, this is the crux of it. I just want to watch some football. We've been demonstrating for a year, you see, so I just want to watch some football," was the line that sealed the deal. The whole room went quiet and everybody started chanting AFC Wimbledon. It was an amazing moment. And then within a minute, myself and Mark Jones, we brought out the kit that we'd designed. We brought out the car stickers that we'd done. People were cheering and clapping and whooping, and it was fantastic atmosphere. And then we turned around and said to everybody, "Look, we haven't got a league at the moment. We haven't got a ground and we haven't got a kit. But we're going to make all of this stuff and we're going to start a team. And if we get senior status, we will be able to apply to go into a league and play next season. To get senior status, we have to have a ground share deal. So we're going to ask you to buy season tickets for a club that doesn't exist, that doesn't have a league, that doesn't have a kit. But if you all put your hands in your pockets and you buy in advance, we will have the money to go and do a deal to get us a ground. We'll have the money to buy a kit. We'll have the money to invent a football club. What do you think about doing that?" And you know what happened? Within a week, we were sent over £80,000. £80,000 in over a week for a football club that didn't exist. It was absolutely amazing, and that was enough for the ground share deal and our initial expenses to get started. And so we paid the ground share deal. We got the senior status. Then we could apply to go into a league, and that was a very difficult thing to do. But a lot of work. But we did it. Our first league, we tried to get into the Ryman League. We lost the vote to get in there because of an anomaly. Something went a little bit wrong. We lost that vote. But then just when we thought it was hopeless and all hope was lost, and there were a lot of people on Wimbledon Common the night we didn't get into the Ryman League that were very upset, and there were some people in tears and everything. But then I got a phone call from the secretary of the Ryman League to say, "Ivor, you can go into the Combined Counties League. They'll take you. They will accept you. It's 50. You only need 50% of the vote to get in there, and they will take you." So I then started running around the common at 11 o'clock at night, saying to everybody, "Listen, it's going to be all right. We've got another league. We're going to be okay." And some people said I was mad and to be quiet and it's not going to happen now and everything. But I knew, and we quickly got everyone back together again. The thing with the Combined Counties League was that we were playing teams that were half an hour away from where I lived that I'd never heard of the places even. They were tight. It was a tiny league. It was level 9. So, there were a lot of teams on top of us. It was quite amazing. But they voted us in. They said we could do that. And then we had trials on Wimbledon Common. We had trials, and we lost count of 250 people that came to the trials. And at that,
I read 500. I read 500 people pitched up, Ivor.
I reckon it was 450, but we won't argue over the odd 50, eh?
Hey.
It was a lot.
What's 50 between two dons?
Exactly. What 50 between two dons? It was amazing. It was just a sea of people. And the most amazing thing that happened that day, and this is something that it was a very emotional moment to me. All these people started to turn up. We're like, how are we going to look at all these people? And remarkably, 30 coaches turned up that day. 30 coaches turned up and helped us to choose who was who and what was what. It was totally unbelievable. I've never experienced anything like it, really. So, from that, we picked a team. And then we had a second trial where we got it down to about 60 or 70 players. And then we moved on. We had 10 pre-seasons lined up where we had to go and start to form this group that basically trained on Wimbledon Common. Didn't even know each other's names. And we played our old non-league rivals, Sutton United, on July the 10th, 2002. Nobody knew what was going to happen. We had worldwide media following us. People were very interested in us, but we didn't know what was going to happen. On the day of the game, it was quite clear. We'd put out an office number where we had a telephone line in my little print works where we had we set the office up, and it was quite obvious that a lot of people were interested in coming to the game. We signed up our shirt sponsorship deal, and we were going to announce that night at the press conference. And more press were saying they wanted to come. And we thought this is getting big. So we spoke to Sutton and said, look, I hope you're prepared. This is going to be a lot of people. Yeah, we can deal with it. It'll be okay. We said that we thought we might get 1,000 or 2,000 to that game. Well, they lost count of 4,650 that night. They lost for the two non-league teams, one that didn't even know their names in a borrowed kit, and a Sutton United team. And we were playing on long grass that came up to my knees. It was totally absurd. It was an amazing situation. What was even better that night, we announced our sponsorship with Football Manager. Football Manager, the computer game. They're still our
That's
sponsor.
who I was talking about.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that is amazing. Miles Jacobson heard me on the radio 2 days into the whole thing, and he tracked me down. And we met, and he said, I want to be your shirt sponsors. And we did a deal there and then. We shook hands. And 18 years later, just about to go into our 19th season, Sports Interactive are still our shirt sponsors. And that's the longest running shirt sponsorship in English football, which is an amazing achievement. And I love it so much. It's one of the things I'm most proud of at our club. But, we went to Sutton. The 4,000.
Ivor, I just want to tell you something before you go on. I just want to tell you something. Is that if you could just tell Paul, Miles, and Oliver, who are the guys that came up with Football Manager, is that they cost my mother somewhere in the range of about £30,000 to £60,000 because I failed university 1 year because of that game. I was addicted, and I had to. This is no lie. Between the booze and the Football Manager. I was addicted, and they cost my mom somewhere between £30,000 and £60,000 because I had to do another year of college. So just telling you that I'm happy for you, Ivor, but you nearly broke my poor mother's retirement bank. I'm just do with that what you will.
But they made a show, and you fit into that show. The show that they made was called, a comedian did it. It was called Football Manager Ruined My Life. So you're not alone, There's a lot of people like that. A lot of famous people nearly had their life ruined by Football Manager. Believe me. So anyway,
3 laptops.
We played
3 laptops.
We played something that night.
3 destroyed laptops. Anyway, 3 destroyed laptops. Football Manager. I've thrown 3 laptops, destroyed them because of Football Manager. I had to quit. Anyway, sorry, you were saying. Go ahead.
Yeah. So 4,650 fans. Mainly Wimbledon fans, it has to be said, but fans from Brighton, Stoke, all over the place. They came to see this wonderful thing happening. And anyway, we lost 4-0 that night, which is no surprise. They were, several divisions above us, and they could actually play, and they knew each other's names, and we didn't. They were established club. So we lost 4-0, and there was a pitch invasion. Our fans invaded the pitch in celebration. We'd lost 4-0 and they celebrated, and we celebrated that night because AFC was, and it was quite a very emotional night, an amazing night, and one that's never been forgotten by Sutton United or us. We then went and played our next 8 pre-season friendlies on the spin. We lost every one of them. We didn't notch a victory until our 10th pre-season away at Enfield, and we actually notched a 3-1 victory at Enfield Town on our 10th match, and then we were ready to go. And we started the league season the next week, and that was when things went crazy. It went crazy. Our first game was away at Sandhurst Town. Sandhurst Town is a village club, and by now the momentum we had behind our club was amazing. We sold 2,400 tickets for that game. They sold the rest of them for 2,500 capacity crowd. But we took 2,400 people to an away game in the Combined Counties League. It was totally bizarre. People had to stand on bales of hay to be able to see. You know, it was utterly immense. It was amazing. And we won that game 2-1. A fence collapsed. People parted. They parted. Some people they've never forgotten it in Sandhurst, I can assure you. And then we went on this roller coaster of a season. There were two other clubs throwing a lot of money behind their teams in that league. And lo and behold, we didn't win the league. We finished third and we didn't get promoted. That was the best thing that happened to us because we learned how to run a football club. But in a league, the season before we were in there, the average crowd in the league was somewhere around 30 to 50 people at every game. 30 to 50. We averaged 3,000 people at every game. 3,000 over the season. Totally bizarre. But it's non-league team. So we knew we had something. So the next year, we did something truly remarkable. We played with a better team, a stronger team. We were winning the league by miles. We were unbeaten, completely unbeaten. We had to change our manager in October that year, which was very controversial. But by then, we'd already we were heading towards winning the league anyway. We went through that season unbeaten, absolutely unbeaten, and we won the league by a country mile. It was amazing. So
Invincibles.
Now we had our first promotion. Sorry?
Invincibles.
Yeah, we were Invincibles. The next season, we got another new manager, a guy called Dave Anderson came in, and we carried on with that invincible run, and we went past, in the league, we hold the British record for unbeaten league matches of 78 matches unbeaten. We went 78 games unbeaten. And that was an amazing achievement, I have to say. Then we got into, we won promotion that year again. We won the Isthmian South. We went into Ryman Premier. In Ryman Premier, we stagnated a little bit. Dave Anderson, 2 years on the spin, got us to the playoffs, but we never made promotion to get into Conference South. So we brought in Terry Brown, and Terry Brown, what a wonderful man. Oh, I love this man I love them all with all my heart, all the managers. But Terry Brown was something unbelievable to me. He came in and he took the club by the scruff of the neck. And he brought in a lot of players. And things didn't go for him. It didn't go well particularly. But he kept on and kept on and kept on. We got into the final, and we won the semi-final against Hornchurch. And then we had to play Staines in the final. Staines ground only hold 2,500. And we could have sold 10,000 tickets for that game. It was remarkable. Our fans bought all of their tickets. On the day, the atmosphere was electric. This was a massive thing for us. And our story probably doesn't go the way it went. The way things went that day, with 8 minutes to go, we were still 1-0 down. We made it 1-1. And then, with a minute to go, a guy called Mark de Boller, who played for Charlton, good footballer. He'd been out on loan and hadn't played for us for months, actually. But Terry Brown threw him on with a few minutes to go and said, go out there and affect the game. And he went out there, and not only did he affect the game, he took a free kick from about 25 yards and he smashed it in the corner, and pandemonium ensued. Absolute pandemonium. Fans were on the pitch. It was pandemonium. And we beat Staines. We got promoted to Conference South. And that was when all of a sudden now we were back in what you call a league. So our first game was away at Newport County, who are now in League Two, and they were a former league club like us. We said we were Wimbledon, so we're that. We go to Newport on the first game of the season with everyone saying, we just need to consolidate and stay where we are, and season ticket sales were going through the roof now. Yeah, we were selling a lot of season tickets in Conference South. And we go there and we beat them 4-1 on the first day. And a player called John Main scored a hat-trick. He was going to become a massive hero. And I got in the car there were 4 of us in the car. And I said, we win this league this year. And everyone said I was mad. Stark staring, raging mad. Well, the season went on. It came down to the last 2 matches. We needed really a point at Hampton and Richmond Borough. If we got that point, and again, a sold-out crowd, massive crowd, huge amount of people went to that game. And again, we scored quite late to make it 1-1. We won that league. Massive party in Wimbledon Village that night. It was insane, utterly insane. And then we made it to the conference. And the conference national was where I'd said life begins properly as a senior football club in conference national. Yeah. Because all of a sudden we're now in a division, and this is a great story, this bit. The fixtures came out and we were drawn against Luton Town, who survived in the championship last night. Yeah, going back to 2009, 2010, first game of the season was Wimbledon-Luton. And the night before, I was listening to Talk Radio in Talk Sport in London, and Bobby Gould, our manager that won the FA Cup, was on the radio doing an interview very similar to this. And they were saying, what do you think of the new season then? There's great opening games. Chelsea are playing Liverpool and Arsenal and the West Ham, Man United, all the big clubs. What do you think of it? And Bobby Gould said this. He said, listen, there's lots of big games tomorrow. He said, but there's absolutely no bigger game in British football historically than Wimbledon versus Luton Town in the conference tomorrow. No bigger game. And that made me, I loved that. That was a magic moment. So,
that is magic.
So we played in the national conference, and we drew. We did well. We finished 8th that season. We were part-time still. And then Terry Brown came to us and said, we need to go full-time. And we said, okay, how do we do that? We made a plan and executed that plan, and we went full-time. And that was a masterstroke, because all year long we were challenging for the we were challenging to win that league until right near the end. Crawley Town creeped ahead of us, and we knew we were going to finish second. Well, Terry put in a plan then that he felt ensured that we would win the playoffs. So it was brilliant. He executed it brilliantly. We were on good form. We went into the playoffs. We beat Fleetwood Town 2-0 away at Fleetwood. I still think to this day that's probably the best performance of the AFC Wimbledon years. It was amazing. We beat them 2-0. Then we beat them 6-1 in the return leg at Kings Meadow. And we were in the final. And lo and behold, who do we play in the final? One of our old rivals, Luton Town. We got to play Luton Town in the final. And because of Wembley Stadium being in the Champions League, we had to go to the City of Manchester Stadium, to Manchester City's ground, to play the final. And this was what a day. So thousands of Luton fans, thousands of Wimbledon fans trekked up. It's a long way to Manchester from London. And we all we trekked up there. And the emotion of the game was unbelievable, just unbelievable. It was incredible. It was 0-0, full time. It was 0-0. Luton very nearly scored in the last minute. It was, you can't imagine how tense this was. And then extra time, we were better than them in extra time, but it was still 0-0. And then penalties. And the penalties were incredible. A goalkeeper called Seb Brown, who I saw yesterday. He came into our premises in the shopping centre in Wimbledon yesterday, came in to say hello. He was in goal. He saved 2 penalties. We missed one. Qaid Mohammed missed one. He was dead on his feet, the poor lad. But then Danny Kedwell, our captain, who'd become an inspirational figure at Wimbledon, stepped up. And if you look back on it, you'll find it on YouTube. Danny Kedwell, also the penalty shootout, Wimbledon versus Luton in 2010, 2011 in the playoff final. You watch that penalty shootout, it was amazing. He hit this penalty so hard that nobody in the world, you could have had 3 goalkeepers in that goal, they would not have saved it. It was utterly remarkable. And there we were back in the league. And the song rang out, and it was just the most wonderful, emotional, incredible moment. But 9 years, it only took 9 years. And the fans repeated it, and they still repeat it to this day. 9 years from inception, from the germ of an idea, we were back in the Football League. So many people...
Incredible story.
It was an incredible story. Many people had said to us when we started the club, "You're mad. Football fans can't run a football club." Well, that's not true. We can. Then when we made a stated aim, yeah, we have done. We made a stated aim that we would not only start a football club, but we would get back into the Football League. And for when we did that stated aim, which was kind of about over a year into our existence, we gave ourselves 10 years to get to the league, and we did it in 8. So 9 years in total, but 8 years when we stated that. And they all said we were mad. At the same time, in 2008, 2009, we really started to get the idea that we could possibly build a ground back in Wimbledon, back in Merton, back in our hometown. And loads of people said to us, "Listen, you've done really well to do what you've done, but you know, you are insane if you think you can possibly get a ground back in Merton, let alone Wimbledon." And we kind of took that on board and said, "Well, you know, we have to try it. It's what we're about. It's what we want to do. It's where we want to be. So we're going to give it a go. And you know, you guys need to take a chill pill because we're going to give this a spin." And as with everything, the ball was grabbed by the horns, and a huge amount of work was put in by, you know, quite a lot of people, and you know, slowly but surely, a plan started to emerge, and then before you knew where you were, this plan became reality. And you know, one of our fans, a guy called Roger Hopkinson, sat me down and said to me, he's a property expert, and he'd been consulting with us and helping us. And he said to me, he said, "Ivor, you know what the Grand National is? You know, the greatest steeplechase of the year.
I do.
Yeah, it's an amazing event. You know, it goes all over the world. But the fences are really high, and a couple of them are really, really high. You know, Beecher's Brook is like the biggest fence in horse racing all around the world." And he said, "Look, doing this is going to be like running the Grand National, but not just running the Grand National." He said, "Running the Grand National 3 times. And every time you're going to get to a massive hurdle, you're going to think you got over it, and then you're going to get faced with Beecher's Brook. And when you get faced with Beecher's Brook, you've got to get over that. And just when you think you've done it for the last time, you've got to go round again." And that was the greatest thing that he could have said to me, because that's what it's been like. It's been like a massive, massive thing. And, you know, Eric Samuelson, our CEO, who was the original finance director of the club, you know, he's dedicated a large chunk of his life to this. Many, many volunteers have dedicated their lives to the club. You know, I have to say, there have been hundreds and hundreds of volunteers that have gone way above and beyond the call of duty to make our club what it is. But the effort to get this stadium to where it is has been beyond anything. Absolutely amazing. You know, as a fans club, we have raised the money to build this ground by being very clever. We sold Kings Meadow to Chelsea, that for their ladies to play. We managed to do a deal with Galliard Homes to do some enabling development to get permission for them to build homes there. So, you know, the leader of the council, Stephen Allen British, has been unbelievable what he's done for us. But then, more than anything, our fans have raised over £8 million to make sure this project happens. And now our fans again are going to buy debenture tickets. They're going to buy season tickets, because this unfriendly world we live in now, we need to finance this club. And that's what's going to happen. So, you know, the story around Plough Lane is remarkable. We've had some other massive
Well,
football
Ivor,
events, you know.
yeah, listen, Ivor, you've been so gracious with your time, and I know that you actually had limited time, and I know this is you've actually given me the greatest like teaser for the next time you come on, because I don't want to take too much of your time this time, and then you miss all of your things. Is now we're back plow lane, but I'd like you, when you've got time, come back again, and we pick it up from where the club is now. I mean, we were going to go through all of it, Ivor, but you've been so gracious with your time, and I want to respect that.
No,
and there's an adoring public that want to ask questions. So this is just it's actually really, Ivor, I listen. Let's do this. Let's do some housekeeping. How do we support the club? Because I'm being honest right now. I'm going to get a shirt. I'm going to get a shirt sent to me, and I'm wearing it on this show. I'm a Chelsea fan. I won't lie to you, but I'm now a Wimbledon fan because you are such an absolutely top-class gent. And this is a Wimbledon show, so I'm getting a shirt. Do you deliver it to South Africa, number one, even though you don't trust us, and we beat you in the World Cup final rugby? But anyway,
there's only one person there that we don't trust. We will send you a shirt absolutely anywhere. Don't worry about that. We'll get it to you. Don't worry. Your shirt will come. Even if I've got to fly it over myself, I'll bring you a shirt.
All right. Because, hey, that's happening, by the way. I'm getting a shirt, and I will wear it on the show at least once a week. That is going to happen. But how do we support the movement, Ivor? If you know, I'm going to get behind this thing. How do we support the movement?
Okay, well, it's very easy to actually join the Dons Trust. If you join the Dons Trust, then it doesn't matter how much money you've got the same influence as anybody else. So, we are a trust-owned, fan-run club. And therefore, you can join the trust. It's 25 English pounds to join the trust. But then you get a vote on what we do. You get to know everything that we do, the inner workings. You don't get to choose what toilet rolls we use. You don't get to appoint the manager or anything like that. But you get to vote on the big issues, So if someone tried to take over our club, you'd be able to say, no, we don't want to do that today. So the more people that join the trust...
So even as a South African fan?
Yeah, anyone can join the trust. And anyone can have a vote.
And so my vote still matters, even if I'm South African. Wow. Yes,
100%. 100%.
All right, where do we join?
If you go onto the AFC Wimbledon website, www.afcwimbledon.co.uk, find the section on there that's for the trust, and there'll be a way that you can join on there. And
I'll put those details in the description. Yeah. All right. No, don't. Yeah, I'll put all the details in the description, and I'll get all the details from you. Ivor, absolutely incredible. Ivor, you've been so gracious with your time, and there's so much more I wanted to talk about. We had our gremlins, Anytime. But I appreciate your humility to stay with me. And we are now officially a Wimbledon show, and my shirt is on the way. I'm getting that shirt, by the way. Before we go, what was it? Oh, it's happening. And no empty threats. That is happening, and I cannot wait to show you me wearing that shirt very, very soon. Hey, what was Beast Mode like, having him up front? He was, I saw he got Wickham promoted recently. What was he like?
Yeah. He was an interesting character. Bayo, I actually did the signing of Bayo. And I remember when he put his arm on the desk, to sign the form, I looked at his arm and I thought, that's not an arm, that's a baby alligator. It was massive. No, him and I got on really well. We did loads of stuff together. He's a larger than life character, is Bayo, but wow, what a personality! We did a whole thing for charity, him and I, where we raised a lot of money for charity. And you know what he did? Because I'm not a very big guy, you see. I'm vertically challenged. I'm a short ass. And Bayo actually bench pressed me a big event, and we raised a lot of money for charity by doing that. So
incredible. What's your relationship like now?
Yeah, cool. Yeah. We meet him. Very fine indeed. His heart's in the right place, one way and another. And it's just a shame, really, that he could have stayed with us, but there were reasons why he didn't and everything. And but I wish him all the luck in his career, because I think he's a fantastic character, and he's a credit to the game. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, listen, we're doing everything we can to get him on the show because I love his character and I loved his response to the promotion. And I don't know if you saw that his interview where he was just going
I did.
bananas on the side of the field.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
best.
yeah.
I hope we can. I hope we can get him on the show. But anyway, that's great to hear that you've kept a relationship with your ex players, and I love him and I love your character. That's awesome. So, Ivor, before we let you go, can we take some questions quickly from the adoring public, and then we will release you into the fields of Britain?
Whatever you want, fire away.
By the way, before Jens Perskin, before I take this question, an investor and somebody who's backing AFC, which I absolutely love, is John Green, a very famous writer, massive American writer, by the way, who's taken it upon himself. Ivor, maybe you want to quickly deliver that before I take Jens's question?
Yeah, I'll tell you what to do. Write that one down and ask me the question next time you see me. To ask me the question about how John Green became our sponsor, because that is a very funny story I've got, but it takes a long time. So I'm not going to give it now, but excellent. John Green is the most wonderful, intelligent, kind human being you could want to meet. And we are very lucky to have him on board.
I've got my wisdom pen, my plume of wisdom, and I've written that down. I've made a mark to say John Green's story next time. Phenomenal story. All right, let's get into the questions, Ivor. Jens Perskin says, what's the most remarkable thing people don't know about AFC Wimbledon?
I think that for a lot of people understand that we're owned by the fans, but we have rebuffed several offers for people to try and buy the club, and recently it's the fan ownership bid that people just don't realise that how a club could get as far as we've got under fan ownership is totally remarkable, and it shows an amazing dedication. So the sort of thing that I'm talking about is that on a match day, we would have 100 volunteers at a match. So instead of paying people to take the money at the turnstiles, our volunteers did that. I myself in our second season, I flipped the burgers. I worked in a tea bar. Because that was the thing to do, because we didn't have anybody else to do it at the time. It was an amazing story, and there's all these little side stories that So it's the fact that there are up until we left Kings Meadow just a couple of short months ago, there's a team of 3, 4, sometimes 5 guys, all retired, that come in and do all the practical odd jobs around the ground every Thursday, without fail. They come every Thursday. They spend all Thursday working. They do carpentry. They do metal work. They do whatever needs to be done. They're fantastic craftsmen, but it means that we never had to pay for anything like that. And there's this whole army, about 300 unsung heroes, that do things way above and beyond the what anyone would reckon you'd have to do to support a football club. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Just amazing.
Oh, great answer. There you have it. Vanilla Rap says, is it true that your nickname is Yo-Yo?
What, me personally, Yo-Yo? Well, some people have called us a yo-yo club. I used to be really good on a yo-yo, funny enough. I was really good with a yo-yo. But no, I wouldn't say our nickname is Yo-Yo. Although it is something that if we were to be a yo-yo club, I'd take that between the first division and the I've just seen the next question.
The Premier League.
Smile. First division and the championship. We take that.
Fair enough. All right. But maybe it was a reference to your yo-yo days and you doing the walking the dog. I believe they called it on a yo-yo. But who knows?
Yeah.
Well, probably that. G. Davey says, did you have the most interesting lockdown ever? By the way, I just want to interject here and I'll ask the question again. If you haven't seen Ivor's Instagram, please go, Ivor Heller, go and see what he's been doing in lockdown. Check it out. He's Ivor27 on Twitter, or Ivor Heller on Instagram. Outrageous. Now, Ivor, have you had the most interesting lockdown ever?
I think it's fair to say I had quite an interesting lockdown. Yeah, it was very interesting. I mean, I started out I always laugh about. I like to laugh and try and be funny from time to time. And my partner Lisa, she I decided I was going to keep fit in lockdown and get fitter than I've ever been, actually. So I had a 55-step garden because I wasn't allowed out at all. And I started doing laps of the garden. And she filmed me. And when she filmed me, I'm actually quite famous for one thing I did at Wembley. In the director's box, I went like that, which I think you'll understand in the UK is quite a rude sign. I did that to my friends in the Royal Box, and I was live on Sky Sports doing that. And that became a meme.
Very nice.
All around the world. And it was quite funny, really, I suppose. No other way of putting it.
Hey, it was funny then, and it's funny now.
Yes. So Lisa filmed me, and I did that to Lisa. And when I look back at it, it was quite funny. So I put it on Twitter, and then loads of people just came back to me, and they said, Ivor, what are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do tomorrow? And I said, well, I'll think of something. Tell me what to do. So they started sending me challenges. So every day I did a challenge. And some of them were really ridiculous. Most of them were ridiculous, actually. And I didn't mind making a fool of myself on more than one occasion. But it kind of culminated on a big charity fundraising day in the UK when I was asked to do a sponsorship for local charities. I took that on. I did a task, which was a good task. I liked the task, but I knew it wasn't going to get us the money that we needed. So I used to have a beard. So I said I would shave my beard for £1,000, and I would shave my head as well for £2,000. So the money went up quite quickly, and then a friend of mine from Switzerland very kindly got in touch with me, and he said, Andreas Feller, this guy, he got in touch with me, and he said, Mr. Heller, he said, be careful here. He said, I just need you to know you'd best get the barber's equipment out, because you're having a haircut today, no matter what. And it landed up where he put the money in, and I had to shave my head. And we raised £4,200 for local charities by me shaving my head. That can't be a bad thing, can it? So yeah, lockdown was very interesting. But if you want to see a lot of them, Ivor27 on my Twitter feed, you'll find them all if you delve in. And some of them might make you smile, and some of them might make you cringe. But whatever, it was all done in the just to put a smile on people's faces, and that it worked on many occasions.
Listen, Ivor, you've been incredible. I'm going to take one more just so this doesn't turn into a Joe Rogan podcast. I have, I must say, my personal favorite, you doing the obstacle course in your house. Hilarious on the stairs in the kitchen there. Loved it.
I love that
folks, I loved it. Listen, we're going to have to make this the last one. I know we've got lots of questions, but I think it's the best. It's one of the best ones. ZA Rover says, will you hire me based on my football manager CV? Incredible.
That's a brilliant question. No, in a word, absolutely no. But I will tell you this, that every time we have advertised for a manager, which is 3 times I think we've actually advertised for a manager, we get countless applications from people. The best one we ever got was from an Egyptian who thought he was the best at football manager. His application was funny. If I had it, I'd read it to you, but I haven't got it. It was very, very, very funny and a wonderful bit of humour. And all I can say to all you that play Football Manager, keep going. If you could turn it into reality, you're doing better than me.
Let's go, Ivor. Hey, I just want to tell you a funny story.
Go on.
I think there was a manager, I think in Finland or somewhere, who got hired off his off being a football manager on Football Manager. I'm not kidding. I'll find the story. I'll send you that WhatsApp. Yeah, it was a while ago.
True. Yeah.
It lives. Hey, Ivor, if you do find that Egyptian, it's quality stuff. If you do find that Egyptian fella's application, please email it to me, and I will we can scratch his name out, but we can post it up for the fans to see and have a bit of a laugh at somebody who applied. So if you find it, email it to me, and I'll put it up on the page. Yeah, that's terrific. Yeah,
go on. Go. No, sorry. No, I'm done.
No, I was just saying. It's Ivor, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's an honor to hear parts of the story, and I would love when you've got more time. I know things must be relentlessly busy. What is the prospects of the season starting next year with COVID, etc.? Has anybody said anything to you? Has the Football League spoken to you guys to keep you in the picture? What is the outlook in terms of the next football date?
we are going to start the league. It will either be the last weekend of August or on September the 12th. But I think it'll be September the 12th myself. But yeah, we will start and we will have a full league season next season. And I can't wait to get watching my football team again. It's driving me mad. We have to watch our team play again soon. Really looking forward to that.
Ivor, not an empty promise. Anybody you want to get on here from the club, let's support the club. Let's give them a platform. I'd love to talk to some of the characters, your managers, some of the guys from the past. Let's build something here internationally, because I think as you've done it organically, I would love to help from all the way out here, because, hey, Ivor, there's one thing in Africa we do, my brother, is number one, we beat England in the World Cup rugby final, but we love football as the other. Thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, but I don't even know what the oval ball looks like. I'm not interested. I was too small for rugby. I played one game. I tried to tackle someone and he kicked me on the jaw all the way up the pitch. That was the end of my rugby career. Yeah, boxing now we're talking.
Oi, big boxing guy. Are you a boxing guy?
Yeah. I love my boxing. Yeah.
Oh, I'm big on boxing.
Yeah, I'm the former shortweight champion of the world.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, come on, left-right combo, the shortweight champion of the world, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only the former shortweight champion of the world, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the man who's put 18 years into his beloved AFC Wimbledon. It will not be the last time we have him or anybody from the club here. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Ivor Muller. Thank you so much, Ivor.
Thank you, Umbrella. Good luck. Thank you very much.
You're the best. You're the best. You're the best. Have a great evening. Oh, man. Absolutely brilliant. Folks, I thought when we had the chance and it was brought up to me that we could speak to Ivor, I had to. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking with us through the technical difficulties. To those whose questions weren't answered, I will save them. Ivor will be back. I guarantee you that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Just as he helped rebuild his club, we are building something special here. Big Shot Media, Cliff Central Sport. We are making it happen. Thank you for supporting the journey. We are trying to become the greatest sports channel on the planet. Hope we're getting there. Ladies and gentlemen, for today, it has been a different ballgame.